Thank you for watching in advance. Please remember to subscribe to our channel. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce our instructor for this video, Dr. Obi Anam.
Thank you and hi everyone. In this tutorial, I would like to tell you a little bit about the R2RESIZE R Package, which is simply a package that helps you to add resizing features to images and data tables or Markdown tables within your Markdown document and Quarto document as well. And so this tutorial is going to be very short because it's a very small package, and the idea really is just to show you how to make the insertions and how to get started with using this package. Okay, so first off, I have shown the index to this package within RStudio environment, which simply tells you what it is and useful links on how to report bugs, but also how to get more information about this package. And so I'll go right on to the index. So in the index, you see that simply, as I mentioned, this is a very small package, and the only functionality that I currently have in this right now is add resizer, which simply is the function you call to add the resize functionality that you want to add to your document, or Markdown document, and like I said, Quarto document. Okay, when I click on that function, these are the options that we have, and obviously there are examples on how to use them. So I am going to lift the example right off from here, and I would use that in a current document to show you how it can be used. So let's take, for example, that I want to create an R Markdown document, and then I want to use the R2RESIZE package, and then I want to show what it looks like. This is how I go about doing that. First, I'll come to, actually I don't have to do that, I can just open a new R Markdown file from here. Let's just call this R2RESIZE tutorial. Okay, so that starts you up with a sample R Markdown file, and you can see the content right now is very scanty, and still is going to be scanty because really like I mentioned, I just want to show you how this package works. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to add in a bunch of plots, and then we're going to add in a bunch of tables, and then I can show you what the output looks like when we do that. Okay, let's first of all set up the environment. Now, to set up the environment, the easiest way to do that is let's just create an R chunk in there, and let's make a simple one. Okay, inside the R chunk, what we want to do is simply we want to call the library R2RESIZE, and that's the library. Of course, you should have installed this directly from GitHub or from CRAN because it's published in RCRAN. But once you attach the library, then you can easily just add the call the add resize functionality, and we can do that directly from here. So I'm just going to copy this right off the example that I have in the package, and we can paste that right in here. Okay. All right. With the add resize, again, you have these different options of what to do that you can add to your text. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave as it is, and we're going to render it and see what it looks like. Okay, so now that I've added that, I can go ahead and add all kinds of images and then all kinds of tables, and you slowly start to see what that looks like. So right now I'm just going to make things a little bit more clean. I am going to clean this up. I'm going to remove the text here, and I'm just gonna leave the plots. So let's do one plot, and then let's make a sample of let's see, 2 plots. Okay, so this is one plot. I'm just gonna call this plot 1, and then I'm gonna make one for 2 plots. And the reason I'm doing this is to really show you how powerful this package can be, even though it's a very small package, but how powerful it can be in trying to visualize multiple plots or multiple tables within a page. Okay, so that's one plot, and here I'm going to have 2 plots. Okay, let's call this plot 2 and plot 3. Okay, and now for plot 3, we could just use one of the inbuilt data sets. So here we're using plot of the pressure. I could do, let's see, I could do plot of empty cars and cars as well. So let's do that. So plot of empty cars and cars, and all of that is inbuilt data set within R. Okay, so that's 2 plots. We can also try this for 3 plots. Okay, so let's see. And the third plot I'm just gonna create by myself. Okay, so that's 3 plots. And for 3 plots, we are going to, let's see, we have that, and I'm just gonna make another plot, and I'm gonna create that by myself. So let's just make something a little bit random, and let's see, sample 1 to let's do 10 to 500 and just do 10 data points there. Okay, alright, so that's my third plot, and so that's for plots. And so before I proceed, I'm just going to show you what the output is going to look like when you have that resize added onto plots that are within your R Markdown. And so let's go ahead and knit this, and then I can show you what it looks like. Okay, now that I have rendered, I have knitted the R Markdown document. This is what it looks like. And so I'm going to take that step by step. First off, we set the theme color to be blue. So that means that these should be blue, but along with tables as well. When you want to add tables, the position should be top, and as you can see, is all the way at the top of the image. You can also have it at the bottom. That's another choice. Then you have the font size and font color. This applies to the page itself, and so you see it's brown, and you can see the color of the text is brown, and 12 pixels. That means that the texts that are not heading text are also smaller. And so you can remove that entirely, right? And just focus on the image and the tables. And simply what this says is please add the resize to tables and add the resize to images. And as you can see, in this case we only have images, so we have added the resize to the images that you have all over this page. And then line width and line height, you'll be able to understand that when you play with those arguments. But simply what I want to show in this is the output of this entire knitting and that simple modification that we made by adding the resize functionality. So what that does is it goes and looks for all the images, and as you can see, for the images it has this toolbar for them. So let's say I wanted to expand this image because it's not big enough. A simple way to do that is just by extending this back and forth, and as you can see, it makes it bigger and you're able to see the image more clearly. We can do that also for 2 images. Now that gets a little bit more interesting, because if you have this image and you have this image and you're trying to compare them side by side, a very good way to do it is literally just to have them side by side. But with the way this image is right now, you have to go back to your R code to modify that to make them side by side. But no, you don't have to do that. With the resize package, you already have that toolbar, and you're easily able to resize that directly. And as you can see, you have the resize and you can have them side by side to compare. In terms of 3 images, right, this comes in a lot more handy when you have more images to compare, and as you can see, you're able to also resize and compare them side by side. Something else that I'd like to show based upon this is the fact that for every resize toolbar there, you have this icon here, which says that you can extend this whole image in this section and you can view them separately. So I'll do that. When you do that, you see you're able to view the images separately by themselves, and you can just isolate them, and you can look at them even a lot larger as you want, or side by side as you would prefer. So I can see I like to go on to show you what happens with tables. So when you have tables, so let's push the images down so that way we can put our table up top and see that a lot more clearly. I'm gonna say this is first of all, let's just do a simple markdown table. So let's do a markdown table. Okay, let's do one markdown table, and then I can show you what happens when you have multiple markdown tables and so on. So for now, let's just do one markdown table. So for one markdown table, I'm just going to insert something right there. So that's one markdown table. If you wanted to do two markdown tables, and again, I'm going to show you what this looks like when you render it. Two markdown tables, okay? And let's separate, no need to separate that. Actually, yeah, we can separate it, but let me just put a totally different tables there, again, so that you can see the distinction between these tables, okay? Let's just make a change here, so you would know I'm not opening a different table than I am showing you here. So header 6. Okay, now the third thing I want to show is also data table. So let's say you have a data table and you want to include that as well, which I know many people use now. So data tables. Okay, let's just do a data table, and let's use the empty cars to do a data table. And for that, I am going to use the DT package. For the DT package, I'm going to insert an R chunk, and I'm just going to add the DT package. And then I'm going to call a data table for the iris data. Okay, so we have all of that ready. And now we can go ahead and knit this document, and I'll show you what the output on tables look like. Of the R Markdown, and now you can see the output of what the R2RESIZE package gives you for tables. Again, I should mention to you that we have the tables enabled here, but if you wanted to turn that off, you can turn it off for table and leave it on for image, and vice versa. Depends on what you would like to achieve for your document. So in this case, we have them both turned on, so you would have the toolbar appear in both tables and images. So let me go right ahead to show you now what you have in the output for the tables. Again, so now you see that the tables here, so this is when we had one table. For one table, you see again we have the resize toolbar. So in this case, you have the resize font that helps you to increase the size of the font within the tables, and you can either clearly see them or make them a lot more compact so that you can be able to read across the table. And another way to do that now is to be able to decrease the table size as well. So if you think this was too far away and you're not able to read across the table, especially when you have so many rows, then a good way to use this functionality is in table size, right? Because then you can be able to constrict that. Also, you can decrease the font size, and you can see them a lot closer to each other, but then that means that the text is going to be smaller, which you can also change by the table font here. Now the next thing is when you have two tables. The reason I show this is because having these two tables doesn't mean you're going to have one resize for two of them. You are still going to have individual resize for each of the tables that are nexted together, so to say. Okay, and in this case, again, like I showed you up top, you're able to do the same thing, right? You have the resize table font. You also have the resize table size, and you can play with that as much as you want. Now something you have to realize is that as the font size gets bigger, there is only a minimum size that you can use for the table. So in that case, if you're going beyond the size of the minimum size that the table can be based upon the font size, then it's not going to work. You see how that doesn't work? But when you start getting a little bit bigger, then you're able to make it bigger. So that's something to be cautious about. When you resize the table font, you should know that that has some impact also on the table size. Okay, again, you have the other table also available for use. Now, the other thing I would like to show is the data tables. A lot of people use data tables these days in their HTML. And this is also cool because you can insert this right above your data table, where you have the resize tables, the resize toolbar that you can play with to get a lot more from this table. So if this is too small, something you can do here is just use the resize. So you see how the resize makes it so big that even you're able to go outside the specified region. And you can also decrease the table size, but again, because the size is big, you're not able to decrease that. If I decrease the font size, you can see that I'll be able to resize the table as well. So that's a very good possibility here. Now you can see that the images are also still intact, like I showed previously. Now, something I like to mention as well is the maximize here that previously I had shown with the image that you can use to expand everything. So let's start from here. If I wanted to expand this, when I do that expansion, you see that the image is the table now covers the whole screen, and you can see that in more detail. So you can decide also to increase the font if it's still not large enough. You can also decide to decrease the table size here. But what this allows you to do is to basically highlight this specific table out of everything and really look at it in depth. For data tables, you have very similar effects as well. But something that you should keep in mind is that in the current version of R2RESIZE R Package, what you see is that when you click this expand, you're only able to see the current view. So let's do that. And you see the current view is what you see. You're able to make resize and do things to it, but you're only able to see the current view. So with data tables, usually you're able to go across pages, but if you wanted to do that right now, so this goes from 1 to 10, if you wanted to see 11 to 20, then you can go back to your data table and just click next, and that gives you 11 to 20. You can play with it here, or you can also come back to the extend and play with it here as much as you want. So these are options that you have for being able to resize tables as well as being able to resize images, and R2RESIZE package gives you all of that cool features. Thank you.